Yeah, so I wanted to kind of pop over here. First time attending, so nice to meet you all. I wanted to pop over here to sort of talk about a term that gets thrown around a lot, which is scaling for the next sort of billion users within Web3. It's something we all say on VC meetings. It's something we all say when we talk about our own products. But it's also something that I think has become a bit of a buzzword and something that we haven't really done enough to actually push for and build the infrastructure for. So there's a few major issues at present with blockchain. You're probably all sitting there thinking, well, Bitcoin was nearly at 70K yesterday, but ultimately there's still not the type of usage that we want to see. We've around 600 million 600 million investors on the retail side, but only around 80 million self-custody wallet users. So we're a long way off a billion Web3 users, and we've got a long way to go. And I think there's kind of three major challenges. Some of them are quite obvious. So number one is actually increasing the real world usage of cryptocurrency. Actually getting people buying and selling things for crypto. I work in the payment space, so I can tell you right now that the actual verticals that are accepting crypto today are some of the ones that you probably guess. So things like gambling, pornography. Of course, we all know about the illicit drug side of cryptocurrency as well. But we haven't seen the type of adoption that we need to see on the e-commerce side of things. We haven't seen the type of adoption that we need to see with general SaaS products and businesses actually transacting with each other within cryptocurrency. We do, however, see the emergence of some other big hitter verticals. For example, the gift card industry. It's a $1 trillion industry for those of you who are not aware, much, much bigger than gambling. And we have started to see a transition over to accepting crypto payments. But a lot more needs to be done there. And I think ultimately it comes down to actually bridging that accessibility gap. So wallets are still not in a place where we would like to see them. MetaMask hasn't really come much of, well, it hasn't really done much of anything in the last 5 years. Same can be said for Phantom Wallet as well. We haven't seen any particular improvements there. Just relating this to the Solana side of things. So it's a bit stagnant, and we are hoping, I guess, with account abstraction around the corner that we'll see more improvements there. But ultimately, there's a major gap for people who may be attending today because they've seen crypto in the news and are thinking about getting involved, and maybe they work in tech and they're going to start their own startup. There's a lot that can be done there with bridging that access gap. And then the other point I want to make is around commercialization. So I wanted to kind of ask you all a question. So who here actually runs a product focus startup? If you could kind of raise your hands. Okay, so quite a few of you. How many of you have achieved 1 million ARR? Raise your hands. Okay, so I think one of the big problems we have is on the commercialization side. People are trying to go out there and they're trying to sell products that are too advanced, whether it be products that are for individual users or products for businesses. And I think we need to somewhat rein that in a little bit if we're going to actually onboard 1 billion users. So one thing I wanted to bring up is the Maya principle. So Maya stands for most advanced yet acceptable. And it's a term that was coined by a guy called Raymond Loewy, who's a famous industrial product designer from the 1950s and 60s. And essentially, it relates to basic human psychology, which is that people are afraid of the unknown. People are scared of not knowing things. People are scared of unfamiliar experiences. And I think when we start to think about our products and how we develop them within the Web3 sector, we need to start thinking more about familiar experiences. And I guess it's also biological. So like, if we think about natural selection, I know you're probably thinking, how the hell does this relate to crypto? But if you think about natural selection, I mean, the guy who actually, the first people who actually saw a tiger out there in the safari, right? The guy who actually walked up to pet the tiger probably got eaten. The guy who decided to sit back and not go up to the tiger, and he was a bit more wary, he managed to survive. So most of us are scared of the unfamiliar, and that is just human nature. So what I'm really trying to get at is, if you build products that are familiar and provide familiar experiences that people are already used to in the tech world, you will have a lot more success when it comes to actually going out there and selling those products. So I wanted to speak a bit about how we use that principle internally at Radom. So this right here is the Stripe dashboard. So for those of you not aware, Stripe is a financial infrastructure product, and it's a very successful business. They do over $1 trillion in transactional volume every single year. So very, very big company, and it's a product that's used by businesses worldwide. And here's a picture of the Radom dashboard. So if you look at the way we've actually built out our dashboard, everything from the analytics we provide, and there are some more further down on the screen which you can't see, and even the way we lay out our top nav, and the way we've actually built our product. So Stripe has 3 tiers of solutions: no code, hosted, and integrated solutions for payments. So that covers checkout, invoices, and customized payment flows that you can actually integrate natively on mobile, or integrate natively in-game, or even in a vending machine if you wanted to. Radom has done the exact same thing. So we created 3 tiers of solutions. Stripe came out and they revolutionized the world with our recurring billing models, volume-based billing, subscription billing. That's what you see on a lot of the SaaS products today that you'll use day to day. Radom came out and implemented those models. So we've got full coverage for everything that Stripe provides, but the advancement we've made is that we offer cryptocurrency as the payment method instead of card payments. So we've tried to keep things as simple as possible. And what that means when we go out there and actually sell our product to businesses are already familiar with Stripe. So they use Stripe day to day. And for those of you who've been in B2B sales, you'll be very familiar with this. So you tend to talk with a decision maker at a company. But if you're talking to somebody in large enterprise, you're talking to somebody who's maybe VP level or head of product, head of procurement, somebody like that. And ultimately that person is taking on a lot of risk if they're going to implement a product that is really out there and extremely advanced, essentially too advanced. And then if that product goes tits up, they get fired. But if that product is successful and it makes the business hundreds of millions of dollars a year, they don't see the upside of that. They maybe get a promotion and a slight pay rise, but ultimately they're not a stakeholder in the business. They're not going to see the upside. So the big thing with convincing somebody, especially businesses, to actually use your product is to give them something that is already familiar to them with small advancements, small incremental advancements. And you can go out there, sell that to businesses, and you can actually flip that risk around, where that person in the company is not thinking, oh, what if I get fired if this goes tits up? They're thinking, what if I get fired if I don't jump on this opportunity? Our competitor does, and then we lose 15% of our market share. So yeah, that was the kind of the big thing I wanted to come up here and say, but I hope it gives some people things to think about when they're looking at product design and development. If anyone has any questions, I'll be at the after party. Thank you very much.